Hey everybody, good morning. How are you? So good to be with you. Happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, October 8th, and this is another opportunity for us to get together and talk and live in the community of data science. So I really hope that you're doing well in your part of the world. Grateful to be able to have so many users around the world and still growing, still growing. In a little bit here, we're going to have about 40,000 followers on YouTube, which is really a such a mind-boggling number, but really appreciate all of you being here. Hope you and your families are well. So for those of you that are just joining, I always like to start off and ask people to introduce themselves. We always ask people to introduce themselves by city, state, province, country. Just let us know where you're from. Let us know anything else you want to know. The whole point is to create an easy way for everyone to participate and be part of the community, and also add just a little bit of professionalism to the community, right? Where we can be professional and introduce ourselves in an appropriate way. So if you'd like to do that, I invite you to do that. Please let me know where you're joining us from. In addition to that, in all of your chats, if you look at the pinned comment, you're going to find a link to our Discord channel. Our Discord channel is a good way for you to stay in touch with a lot of members of the community. We are quickly approaching 400 members on the Discord, which again, just amazing that we're doing that. So it's a good way to keep the conversation going beyond this. Maybe you want to talk to other people, somebody you meet in the chat, and not all the answers have to come from me, right? I love seeing the community help each other. So if you'd like to join the Discord, the link is in the bottom there. And also, while you guys are filling up my chat, I like to go ahead and kind of give an opening note that helps set the tone for the rest of the chat. And I kind of wanted to talk about a variety of different things. Like I say, I always have different ideas, and sometimes the ideas kind of collide in my mind as far as, well, should I talk about this? Should I talk about that? Well, what about this one? What about that one? So on Mondays, I usually I usually make a post where I tell people, hey, if you ask me a good question, I'll give you a reply. And I'm going to film some of those answers later today, maybe tomorrow. And I got a really good question that was asking about just what is the general advice that I would give to future data scientists. And there's so many, and it's a really good question, and there's so many different ways that I could answer that. But the primary way that I would tell all of you, or the primary advice that I would give to everyone, is stay open-minded. Stay open-minded and stay flexible. And I think that's even more important the older you get, the more experienced you get in your career. And I say that for a couple of reasons. One, because staying open-minded and being open to answers coming from different methods, different approaches, different sources is a very healthy part of the scientific method, no matter what you're doing or what stage you are in your career, right? Super important. But the second reason I say that is because when I meet a lot of scientists my age or older, or data scientists who have been working in the field for a while, this is the number one thing that I spot in them. They lose sight of that. They lose sight of the flexibility of thought, the open-mindedness, the open field approach to where solutions can come from. And unfortunately, I see this a lot in some of the social media accounts that I follow with other quote-unquote experts or experienced data scientists out there. They lose sight of what it means to be a reliable, data scientist or even a scientist in general um, with good fundamentals in how they're approaching the scientific method. I see this a lot in some of the accounts out there. So I don't know if that's a function of quote unquote success, or if that's a function of getting older, or somebody who just hasn't kept up in their studies, in their refreshed understanding of the new approaches that are out there, so on and so forth. Well, there could be a lot of possibilities there. But that's really the best advice that I would tell someone who's just starting out. Don't lose sight of that. Don't lose sight of what are always going to be good, solid, fundamental approaches to data science. Don't lose sight of the open mind that good data science requires. The answers can come from anywhere. Every data set is unique. Every problem that you're trying to solve with that data set is unique. Do not fall into the trap of thinking that you can just rely on the same techniques, the same approaches over and over again for the rest of your life. That's not healthy, right? I mean, doctors don't do that, right? Doctors are constantly going back to school. Lawyers have continuing education requirements that they have to meet, so on and so forth, right? There's no such thing like that for data science. So unfortunately, some people do fall into that trap of, well, this worked for me 20 years ago, so I'm just going to keep going with it. That's bad. That's bad. So keep that in mind. I mean, I know most of you are still a little bit earlier in your careers, and that's okay. But that's really the advice I would give to most, future data scientists as far as, what you're going to need 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, as you get further in your career. All right. So thank you so much for filling up my chat. If you're just joining us, please let me know your city, state, country, province. And then maybe we'll talk a little bit about questions if anybody has questions. But my intent today is to talk about this salary guide that just came out. It was just made available by a recruitment firm here in the US. But yeah, so we're going to go over that. But if you guys have questions or anything else I can help you with, let me know. But I'd love to get your feedback from all of you on this salary guide and see what you guys think. All right. So starting from the top, Joseph, you are first today. Good on you. You're not first very often, Joseph, but I appreciate you being here. Joseph says, good morning, Dennis and everyone. Happy Tuesday. Good morning to you too, Joseph. Yeah, I hope everyone has a good Tuesday. I've only been outside a little bit this morning. I did take my dog to the park. But yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll go to the pool later. I don't know. I'll see. Depends how I'm feeling. Fatima says, hey, sir. Hey, Fatima, how are you? Our good friend from Meekness. Hope you're doing well out there, Fatima. Osama, our good friend from Satat says, hello, sir. I hope everything is going well. Everything is going very well. Thank you. Thank you. Actually, that's right. Later today, I'm expecting an Amazon delivery with 2 packages. And I told you guys how I got my package stolen on Saturday. So now I'm all Mr. Vigilante. I'm out there looking like, is the package here yet? Anybody looking? Like I got to be on top of this because, I actually did the math yesterday. The package I lost was a total of like $100 because, I had a bunch of different things in there. But it was $100. Like I didn't realize it was that much. But today's package has I ordered a new slow cooker in it. I don't know. I think they have those in other countries, right? Where it's like a big cooker and then you put your stuff in there and then you turn it on low and you come back 7 hours later and the meat's tender and all that. So I ordered one of those. I think it was like $40. So I'm like looking out my window. Is the Amazon guy here yet? Like I need to watch this package. I can't get it stolen. But yeah, so that's my big thing for the day. And maybe go to the pool later. I don't know. Rex says, good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful sunny day here in New York City. Another beautiful sunny day. Good for you, Rex. Leo says, good morning, everyone. Hey, Leo, how are you? Hope you're well. Thanks so much for always being here. Such a consistent viewer. Thank you, Leo. Is it Poyito? Poyito Violento? What a name. What a name. Checking in from X. All right. Getting more X users. All right. From France. Cool. What part of France? Let us know. I went to Paris. I would love to go back to Paris. That's one of the few cities I actually want to revisit. I've been all over the world, and Paris is definitely one city I would love to revisit. Beautiful city there. Manoj, our good friend Manoj. Good morning, sir, and everyone. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing well, Manoj. Hope that you're doing well too. From Bangalore, Manoj. Ganesh, let us know where you're from. Ganesh says, hey, sir, how are you? I'm doing well, Ganesh. Thanks for asking. Let us know where you're from, Ganesh. I think it's your first time, so welcome. Joseph says slow cookers are a game changer. Absolutely. Absolutely they are. I love making a lot of stuff in there. Here's the thing, Joseph. I've had one before. This isn't my first one. And guys, I hate to say this. This is going to sound so wasteful on my part. But for me, slow cookers are... Every time I move like to a new place, I just throw away my old slow cooker and just get a new one. Actually, I think I might have given mine away in New York. I think I gave it away in New York. But I always get rid of it and just get a new one because they're difficult to transport. They're likely to break, right? So I always just buy a new one when I move. So I was replacing this. But yeah, guys, if you don't have a slow cooker, I mean, you throw in any meat in there and you come back like in 6 hours and it'll be soft, really, really soft and like easy to eat and tasty. You got to make sure you use like a good spice that doesn't have too many sugars or additives in it. But yeah, I mean, you put in a little liquid, the little spices, maybe some vegetables, you come back. It's hard to make a bad meal in a slow cooker. Like, it's hard to make a bad meal. But Joseph, another thing that's kind of been a game changer for me, maybe you guys already know this, but those little egg bites that they sell at Starbucks, and it's basically just egg and a little bit of meat or maybe some cheese, I love those things, but they're expensive. Starbucks is expensive. So I also bought some of those baking pans, with the little holes in it. So I'm going to start making my own egg biscuits. And for somebody who's on the keto diet, I think that's also a potential game changer because I bought 2 of them. So I can make 24 egg bites at a time. So that's like, maybe like 6 days worth for me. So I'm going to start doing that. And I think that's going to be a game changer also. So Poyito says, they're in Lille, France, trying to break into after the masters in big data. Okay, cool. So you have a master's in big data and trying to break into the industry. Cool. Good for you. You're in the right place. You're in the right place. Trying to teach real world stuff here. So if you want real world info, you're in the right place. And today, we're going to be discussing a salary guide. So for somebody who's looking for a job, might be important. Hello, Dennis. What's up? Sorry, was busy for 2 days. Rahul, who? Who? Do we know you? Anybody know a Rahul? Anybody? Rahul? Who? Just kidding, my friend. Hope you're well. Hope you're well out there. You were busy for 2 days. Busy doing what? This is your day. This is your day right here. What are you talking about? This is your day, Rahul. Like, what else are you doing? You're climbing the mountains in India? Come on. Leo says, me likey salary discussions. Yeah, it's always good to well, it's good to see where the industry is, right? And then 2, all of us are data people, right? So we should all be interested in new data, no matter what it is. And it's always good to see the changes and the ebb and flow and all that stuff. So yeah, absolutely. Paito says, want to listen to some good info from an experienced one. Thank you. Well, thank you, Paito. Glad you're here, and yeah, just keep on coming back. You know, we try to present the best real world information here, right? No, there's no cheap courses or any of that nonsense here, right? No fake promises. We just try to have real talk about data science. All right, so if you're just joining us, please let us know your city, state, country. Easy way to introduce yourself, easy way to keep the chat professional. So if you know, don't be shy, please go ahead and do that. Hey, I'm Joel from Nairobi, Kenya. Very cool. Welcome, Joel. We get a couple viewers from Kenya. I think in Africa, Kenya might be like my 3rd most watched country or subscribers. So yeah. Glad you're here, Joel. Glad you're here. Keep coming back. You know, if you want good information, you're in the right place. Hi, this is Aman from Kolkata, West Bengal, India. Nice. Very cool, Aman. Welcome. Hope you're doing well out there in Kolkata. Would love to visit that city sometime. Would love to visit India sometime. So who knows? Maybe I'll go out there. But glad you're here. Glad you're well. Keep coming back. I think it's your first time. But just trying to give good information out there. And we're gonna, you know, today's information is gonna be around tech salaries. Okay. Rahul, bro, is out there looking for jobs. Okay, cool. Let us know how we can support you in that, Rahul. I have no idea what the job market's like in your area, but you know, let us know how let us know how that's coming along. Yeah, Leo says we missed you, pal. Good luck on it. Let us know if there's anything we can do. Yeah, absolutely, Rahul. Let us know how we can support you, okay? Bisma, our good friend from Pakistan, says hello. How's you? I'm doing well, Bisma. Thank you so much. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Let us know how things are on your end, how things are progressing on your end. But yeah, things are going well over here, you know? Every day above ground's a good day, as we say here in the US, right? So, you know, sometimes when you think you have problems in life, or things aren't going great, or this is bad, that is bad, blah, 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 blah. There's always somebody out there with more problems than you, right? You know, I just try to be grateful for what I do have and where I'm at, and that's all you can do, right? So everything's good. Everything is good. We're gonna keep everything positive. Gamudisa, I haven't seen you in a while. How are you? Hey Dennis, what's up? Hey, remind me where you're from. But yeah, I know it's not your first time. Hope you're doing well. Let us know what you're up to. Yeah, I can't quite remember where you're from. But let us know. Let us know. But yeah, it's been a while. Did you bring a note? Why'd you miss? Just kidding. Hope things are well. All right. Anybody else want to introduce themselves before we start with the salary survey? Anybody else? Last call for introductions. Last call for the global roll call. Just let us know your city, state, province. That's it. No one's gonna call on you. Just saying hello. So Gamidisa says, I'm from Tunisia. It's been a while. I've been busy with college. What? Are you telling me that college is teaching you more than this? Are you kidding me? You're learning more here. You learn more in this hour than you do in a whole semester of listening to academics. I 100% guarantee you that you are learning more here than you are in your academics. Am I right or am I right, guys? Lalman says, Hey, how are you? Your last DS project walkthrough was great. That's right, Lawman. I think you were there on Sunday, right? And I think you were there for the majority of the time, if not all the time. Yeah, Sunday was great. That was a really good. And hey, there's more to come, right? That was only episode 1, right? I think it's gonna be about 8 or 10 more. Well, no, 7 to 9 more. I think it's what's gonna be. Um, yeah, I'm glad you liked it. Getting a lot of good feedback on it, and you know what? Some people aren't going to get it, right? Some people are probably expecting, oh, we're going to talk about Python, we're going to talk about this. That's going to be like 20%, 30% of what we do, right? There's a lot to managing a project. So I'm really glad you enjoyed it, Lalman. Thank you for that feedback. Yeah, and there's more to come. There's more to come. I've mapped it out in my head. I just got to get the materials together, But yeah, there's more to come on that. So for those of you that don't know what Lalman is talking about, on Sunday, I tend to present a longer tutorial, and I've started a new series. The series is called Create a Data Science Project with me. And basically, we are creating an entire data science project from beginning to end. Beginning to end. Everything. Client stakeholders, contracts, planning, agile, how we work as a team, collaboration, everything. End to end. So if you guys want to attend that, that's on Sundays, 1500 GMT. Or you can look at the in my YouTube. I archive the live streams. But yeah, it's going to be a good series, and Sunday was a good kickoff. For the people that understood it, I think they're going to get a lot out of it. So yeah. Thanks for that feedback, Lalman. Joseph says definitely right about that. Yeah, I think you're referring to the college stuff. Gamudisa says true, but they take attendance at my college. So gotta make sure I have that degree. This is your degree, my friend. Come on. Just kidding. I know a lot of you are in school, and that's okay. But I'm gonna talk to you guys about the stuff that nobody teaches you in college. Saturday we had 3 hours of stuff that you are 100% going to need in your career, that there are no classes, no academics institutions out there teaching you. Because, how data science is done in the real world is completely different, right? So you're welcome to attend on Sundays, Gamudisa, if you can. But obviously I wish you the best of luck in your studies. I wish everybody the best of luck in their studies, right? Anybody who's going to college is trying to improve themselves. So good for you. Good for you. All right, so let's get going, huh? Let me bring up my other view. Gamudisa says, what time is the Sunday study? Gamudisa, same time as this, 1500 GMT. Okay? Guys, best way to know about that, go to my YouTube, subscribe, and then click on the notify. And the notify will tell you when I go live on Sundays, but it's basically the same time as this stream, 1500 GMT. Okay? And by the way, Gamudisa, I see that you're on Instagram. If you want to move over to YouTube, you might get a little bit of a better view of the survey and everything else we're going to talk about, okay? Excuse me. All right, so let's get started. Today we're going to talk about the salary survey that's put out by my friends at Robert Half. And again, as I told you guys, I don't always take a positive view of recruiters, right? Most recruiters are worthless. Most recruiters were working the car rental desk at the airport last week, and then all of a sudden they're a technical recruiter, right? So, take all the information with a grain of salt. But, I think that some data points are better than no data points. but at least we can go ahead and start saying, hey, let's see where some of the market conditions are, right? So I should also point out, well, first of all, I'll tell you that I just did a cursory review on this because I wanted to be ready to discuss it, but at the same time, I like being spontaneous in the different things that catch my eye or catch your eye or whatever the case may be. But I will say that this does seem to be very US centric. So it's probably not going to help everyone that watches this because it is a little bit, kind of US focused. But it's always good to at least get some idea where the general market is, and then you can create inferences from where the market is going after that. Okay. All right. So if we go down here, our biggest concern is going to be around the salaries by category, because this is a general technology salary guide. But we're interested more in the data science or the data professional specific salaries, right? So the salaries by category is something that we're going to be looking at. And also the categories focus on the level of the role, whether you're like a CTO or a beginner analyst, and kind of everything in between. So something for you to consider as far as how do you gauge your level, and then how do you match up with some of the salary numbers that are presented here. And then here, we start seeing some of those numbers, right? We start seeing what some of those roles are, and then what the related salaries are for them. So you can see here that the lowest one would be like an IT director, a VP of IT, a technology officer, a CISO, and a CIO. So good spread of positions to start off with, but there's other categories here, right? We could be looking at something like AI, machine learning, and data science category and look at those salaries. So that's an AI architect, machine learning engineer, data scientist, AI ML analyst, right? So that should give you a general idea. And by the way, at this point, we're looking at the general numbers, not necessarily something that's sorted by city. And city does play a role in their study. At least that's what they say, right? So what about the 3 columns? The 3 columns are attempted to be explained here. So in the 25th percentile, you have that the candidate is new to the role, building skills. In the 50th percentile, it's the candidate has the experience to basically work on their own. And in the 75th percentile, it's basically somebody who goes above and beyond, right? So here's the thing. I looked at the methodology that they used to explain the 75th percentile, and it was a terrible explanation. I mean, this is not a very well done study. Again, it's recruiters, right? The problem is that they don't explain how these percentiles are determined. Is it self-reported? Is it reported by the manager? Is it reported by HR? Is it reported according to the job description? Sometimes the job descriptions can kind of affect the type of candidate you're going to draw. Could have been explained better, probably could have been executed better, because my gut tells me that it's self-reported, right? And that's not always reliable data. So I'm going to leave that up on the screen. What do you guys think? Whoa. Keep in mind, these are US salaries. And, we can talk about what you guys think about them. But give me some feedback. What do you guys think? I know I get a lot of questions on machine learning engineer, right? So what do you guys think about it? It's the second row. 50th percentile is 163.50. And these figures are in US dollars, obviously. Anything jump out at anybody? Or if you want to talk about the analyst roles, right? Anytime, generally speaking in the US, when you're talking about an analyst role, you're talking about like an entry level role. So what do you guys think about that? All right, so Leo says, ML engineer earning less than an AI architect. In New York City, I would need to have a side hustle. Is that the case? ML engineer earning less than AI architect. That's a great observation, Leo. I'm trying to decide if I'm surprised by that or not. I don't know if I'm surprised by that. I mean, I can see where you're coming from in the sense that there is very little technical difference between machine learning engineer and AI architect. But at the same time, I think that the AI people might just be getting a little bit more because, the job title is more sexy or, more, hotter or whatever you want to say. Because it's really not, well, I mean, it is somewhat of a significant difference. Leo, like I understand your underlying point. I just think that it's one of those things where the hiring managers don't know any better and they're just paying more for anybody who comes in with AI, right? Majestic Coding, welcome. I think you've been here before. I can't quite remember. But Majestic Coding says not surprising. Tell us why, Majestic Coding. I'd like to hear your rationale. If you don't mind sharing your rationale, I'd like to know why. Rex, thank you for playing host over there. Leo says, what does an AI architect do, by the way? Figure out how to wrap their application around OpenAI. At least that's most of the ones I know. Right? I mean, an AI architect just reads the OpenAI API all day. I don't think there's a big difference, Leo. I really don't. Between a machine learning engineer and an AI architect, there shouldn't be a massive difference, right? Sometimes when you have an architect title, it does imply that you are in a managerial role. An ML engineer, maybe not. So maybe that's what they're considering, right? That an AI architect may actually be a manager. They may have some employees, whereas a machine learning engineer generally would not, right? A machine learning engineer would generally be like a worker bee versus an AI architect that is, still carrying their projects, but may have a couple of employees. Majestic Coding says, for ML engineers, they typically need someone to deploy their work to the full stack. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, like I said, ML engineers are like the worker bees, right? Like they're the ones actually producing models and deploying them. Leo says, I think it's wrong separating data scientist, ML engineer, and AI architect if that's the case. Yeah, I think so too, Leo. I think so too. Now, here's another thing to consider. Because, we've talked about this before, right, guys? Where I emphasize to all of you, hey, some of these teams aren't very big, right? So you're kind of playing all these roles, right? So what this could also be, Leo, is this could be that they in their study they just pull different people that have different titles, but functionally they do the same roles, right? That's possible. Like you could have companies out there that say, oh, well, we're going to take all our ML engineers and we're going to give them the title of AI architect because we want to sound edgy, right? We want to sound cutting edge. That happens, right? So, it could be the same. It could be people, across different companies across the country who have the same job, but they've been given, awarded the title of AI architect, right? I think there's a certain like non-zero number of companies out there that do that kind of nonsense. So that could also be kind of coming into play here, Leo. Casual Economist says, good morning. Are we talking about wages today? We are. We are discussing the salary survey that just came out by Robert Half. So yeah, Casual Economist. Hope you're doing well. It also means we can apply for absolutely. And I've told you guys in the past, right? Data science teams don't always know who they're looking for. They just need somebody else, right? So yeah, absolutely apply. Apply for anything out there, and don't worry about the years of experience. Make sure you have your projects, right? You got to be a prepared applicant. But yeah, just go ahead and apply. Go ahead and apply. It could be the same functional role. They just name it something different, right? So I will say, and you guys let me know what you think about this. To me, these numbers seem a little high. I think they're a little high. Even when I was in New York, I didn't, and I've had plenty of employees, but even in the New York market, I was not paying this much. Like, now I'm assuming, let's take this bottom line here, the AI ML analyst. Now, I'm assuming that this is like an entry level role, first year, second year people, right? I had some very, very talented analysts working for me, and they were not in these ranges. And I had some very, very good analysts. Like my analysts went on to work for some serious hedge funds, right? But, which means that they're good, right? But they were not earning these numbers. Right? So AI architects and ML engineers at 163, those sound a little more reasonable. A plain vanilla data scientist at 150, yeah, maybe a little high. But the one that stands out to me the most is like the AI ML analyst. That sounds a little high. What do you guys think? And by the way, I say that for the New York market, which means that for other markets, this would be, it's even higher for other markets. Like for example, I also did hiring in the Dallas area. And in the Dallas area, if you're an entry-level analyst, I cannot imagine somebody getting like 143. Leo is surprised by that. So Leo, let me know if you want to add more detail. I know you're a New York guy. Elliot, welcome. We asked people to introduce themselves. Let us know where you're from. But Elliot says maybe it's in the top tech companies that they pay that much salaries. No, Elliot. It's the reverse. Guys, that's one of the secrets. And I think some of you already know this because, you've applied and all that. The top tech companies pay the worst. Top tech companies don't need to pay a lot. They get 1 million resumes a day. Why would they pay you a lot? Right? Don't believe that hype. That's all just hype. You know how many resumes Google gets like on a daily basis? If they get like 10,000 resumes on a daily basis, why would they be the top payer? It's like supply and demand, like classic supply and demand. Don't fall for that. Don't fall for that. Now they have like other package incentives that might help, right? The what are those called? The investment units or stuff like that, right? But yeah, don't fall for that, Elliot. That's just the non-experienced influencer nonsense. Leo says, "What would be considered a good entry-level salary for you, Dennis? In what market, Leo? In what market? Could always check Indeed and search these titles in NYC to see if this coincides. Seems a bit high. Well, Majestic Coding, yes, I do like that suggestion. But yeah, we haven't localized this for New York City, and perhaps we should, or localize for other cities you guys are interested in. But this is like generally across the board, right? Because we haven't entered a city yet. But yeah, maybe we should do that. I mean, if you guys, give me some cities in the chat. Let me know what cities you guys are interested in localizing this for. Leo says you as hiring someone. Well, Leo, most of you guys are familiar with my LinkedIn, so I really don't want to give numbers because I don't want to associate them with any companies. But I'll just say that to me these numbers seem a little high, especially at the analyst level. I mean, and that's really all I'm comfortable saying, but because again, I don't want to violate any confidentiality. But and I know what some of my other people made, right? My engineers, like my plain vanilla data scientists. It seems a little high. But yeah, maybe we should localize here. So let's do that. Oh, wow. 36% higher than the national average, which is about right for New York because of the taxes and the cost of living. Leo says, New York City market as flexible data professional. If you're interviewing me and say I'm a data professionalist, what would you be willing to pay? Just a range. Leo, we'll talk later. I don't want to put any numbers out there. Again, because people know who I work for and things like that. So yeah, I'm not comfortable with that, Leo. Let's table that for now. Majestic Coding says, oh my god, why? What surprises you here? Anybody else want to give their comments? I mean, I told you guys that I thought the previous numbers were higher, and that's when I was hiring in New York. So what do you guys think? And again, we don't have to be New York centric in this discussion. If you guys want to look at other cities, let me know. But Majestic Coding, I'd like to know what you think about that. Leo says, I like it better. Yeah, Leo, but I don't know how realistic these numbers are. 36% was a bit shocking relative to the initial number. But Majestic Coding, that's about right for New York. Because remember, in New York, you're losing like, at these rates, you're losing about 35% in taxes, right? I mean, let's assume these numbers are correct. At 195,000, the 50th percentile for the analyst, I mean, you're losing like 35% to taxes right off the bat, right? So it's really not as much money as you think. Honestly, for me, 195, you probably still need a roommate. right? You probably still need a roommate and you're not going out very often, believe it or not. So it's really not as beneficial as you would think to hear that it's 36% higher. Well, if the reality is lower than that, maybe I should keep doing data science for love. Elliot says, how do you compare the salary of a data scientist with that of a software engineer? Well, we can pick another category, right? Right now we're looking strictly at the AI and data science category. Or at least that's what they call it, right? But we can look at that later, Elliot. Elliot, again, let us know where you're from. We usually ask people to introduce themselves, okay? So Leo, if the reality is lower, Leo, from my experience, I would say the reality is a lot lower. I mean, I told you that even before the number was high for the analysts, right? So, yeah, I mean, I don't know of any analysts making 195 in the New York market. Like that would be, to me, that would be an extraordinary salary. Like that's an extraordinary number for an analyst level role. I mean, I just think, you know, and also, I mean, in the 75th percentile, 230. I mean, I don't know about that. Like I want to meet this person. I want to meet the low level analyst that's making 230 in the New York market. That's mind blowing, right? All right, so we can try other cities. Let me know if you want to do that. But somebody asked about. Actually, you know what? There's another category: data engineering, analytics. Let's look at that because I know some of you are interested on the data engineering side, right? Let's do that on the national level, and then we'll look at specifically at other cities. Okay. Okay, here we go, guys. Data analysts, data engineer. I get a ton of questions from you guys on data engineers. A DBA, a database developer. Okay, wait, that's weird. They're separating database manager from database administrator. Okay, I'm not sure that makes sense. So here, I know a lot of you give me questions about BI. So here, I would say that this is like the entry level BI role. This is a little bit more of an advanced BI role, right? So for those of you that know Tableau, SQL, Power BI, right? That's your domain. And yeah, and then up here, it looks like there's a plain vanilla data engineer, right? That number is very, very surprising for a data engineer. I don't think that's entry level. But what do you guys think about these numbers? I know a lot of you are interested in data engineering, so let me know. What do you guys think? Yeah, Leo, thanks for this insight. The net income for 190K would be something like 114K. That's roommate level for New York City indeed. That's roommate level for New Jersey. But yeah, absolutely. You can't live alone in New York City for that. You can't live alone in the majority of New Jersey for that. Because I know you mentioned New Jersey. Like, for example, you're not living in Jersey City alone for 114K, right? I mean, you'd have to be pretty deep into Jersey to be living alone for 114. Yeah, I mean, it's not a lot of take home, guys, right? So keep that in mind for the New York market. But again, you know, I'm not trying to be New York centric. We can always talk about other markets, right? So right now on the screen, guys, we have the national numbers for kind of like data only oriented roles. What do you guys think? Give me some feedback on this. Anything jumping out? I mean, I'll just give you my overall impression. Again, the numbers seem a little high, but I won't point to the specific ones until you guys tell me. Let me know. Leo says, I don't get how data architects do more than engineers. Yeah, you know what, Leo? I think that's a great observation, by the way. I think it's because I think it's just one of those seniority things, right? You don't get a data architect title your first year out of school, right? Like, you've been out there for a while if you're going to be a data architect. So I think it's just one of those seniority things. Data engineer, you can do that like out of school, right? That can be an entry level job, right? Not always, but it can be, right? But I think it's just seniority. Varun, thanks for joining. We always ask people to introduce themselves with city, state, province, please. Okay. Anybody else? So one of the things that a couple of things are jumping out at me: database manager and database administrator. Shouldn't be a lot of difference there. I think that's a lack in their methodology and how they're splitting that out. That's essentially the same thing, right? This number does jump out at me. To kind of put an opposite spin on what we've been talking about. 117 for a database administrator sounds low. Sounds really low. Now, I will say, I've been fortunate to work with some very, very talented DBAs. And a good DBA is like gold, right? Finding a really good DBA is not an easy thing. So if you're good as a DBA, you should be earning a lot more than that. So I think this number is a little bit low. I'm very surprised by that number. That number should be a lot higher. The BI roles seem roughly appropriate. Maybe just a tick high, not by much. But, for those of you that are looking more towards the analytics side, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? We talked about that yesterday. Analytics solves a lot of problems. Rex, yesterday you were talking about SQL and Tableau. That's a pretty good start to being like something like this, right? And that's a pretty good start to putting yourself out there as a business intelligence developer, right? 128 for a BI developer. That's not a crazy number from what I know, from what I've hired at and things like that. That's not a terrible number, right? I think that's pretty reflective of what's out there. So maybe some of these roles are a little bit more realistic, I guess you would say, right? What do you guys think? Any other feedback on these? I know you guys don't want the data rules. I get a ton of questions on data engineering and Power BI and all that. I mean, if you're really interested in that, you should be all over these numbers. So let's localize this a little bit. I'm familiar with the Dallas market, and I know we get viewers from Dallas. So let's look at Dallas. So Dallas is 12% higher than the national average, which I'm a little bit surprised by that. But then again, the cost of living in Dallas is rising. DBA in Dallas is 131. Still sounds a little bit low. Business developer, intelligence analyst. These seem a little bit high from what I have seen. A little bit high. But here's the thing, guys. The reason Dallas is attractive or can be attractive is because there's no state income tax. So you are likely to keep a lot more of the money that you actually have earned, right? So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Lalman says, I'm from Nepal and just got recently hired as a data analyst, and the contract pays me $250 USD per month. Well, hey, congratulations, Lalman. You got a job, right? Congratulations. I'm glad to hear that. So obviously these numbers are very much localized to the US, as I mentioned earlier, right? Which, you know, I think is a fault of the study. I think the study should take a little bit more of a global view. And you know, I think we all know that salaries have different levels across, you know, different countries, right? So I get it. Some of these numbers might be a little bit depressing in that way, but the bottom line is you're employed, you can help yourself, you can help your family, you're gaining experience, right? I don't know what the average wages are in Nepal. I'm sorry that I'm ignorant to that, but I'm guessing that in your region, you're probably going to be okay, right? You're going to keep yourself clothed and fed, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. So you don't let other things steal your joy that way, right? So if you signed the contract and you were excited about it, you're excited about the career growth that you're going to have, still a good contract, right? So keep a positive attitude, okay? All right, anybody else on this before we move to another category? Because somebody's asked about software engineering. So let's look at software engineering. QA, training and audit, IT operations and support, security, consulting. Okay, there we go. Software and applications. And let's keep it in Dallas. All right, so what do you guys think here? So developer, programmer, analyst is probably their most entry-level role that I see on this list. DevOps engineer might be of interest to some of you, right? Why? I don't know. But yeah. Developer, programmer, analyst, 134 in the 50th percentile. What do you think? Who's working for that? Who wants to work for that in Dallas? Chandra says, hi, Dennis. Hey, Chandra, nice to see you. I think it's your first time here, so welcome to the chat. We ask people to introduce themselves with city, state, province, but glad you're here. Thanks for coming. What do you guys think? Chandra, we're discussing a salary survey put out by Robert Half, and right now we're looking at software development roles. Somebody asked about that. And we're more or less focusing on the entry-level developer, programmer, analyst. So just to kind of bring you up to speed there. Michael, our good friend Michael, how are you? Michael, hope you're doing well. Let us know what you're up to. Glad to see you here. Our friend from Lagos, Nigeria. So glad to see you, Michael. Leo says, how much is a 2-bedroom in Dallas? Ooh, good question. It's been a while since I lived there. I lived there right before the pandemic. So what was that, like 4 years ago? But I think you could get a 2-bedroom for about $1,600 to $1,800, something around that. Like definitely under $2,000. Yeah, but like $1,600 to $1,800. Now keep in mind, I'm not gonna deny it. I'm bougie, right? So I'm giving you prices from where I lived. It was a very nice building. I probably could have lived cheaper than that if I wanted to. But you know, I lived in a very nice part of Dallas. You know, in a really nice building. So that's what I'm giving you. You could find things that are cheaper than that. But yeah, I would say like $1,600 to $1,800. Leo says still roommate level. Are you talking about New York or are you talking about Dallas? Help me understand that, Leo. Hey, Prabhat, welcome to the chat. We asked people to introduce themselves, you know, with city, state, province, all that, okay? Okay, so you're saying Dallas? Well, but Leo, you asked about 2 bedrooms, right? You can get a 1-bedroom in Dallas. Again, very nice part of Dallas, nice building. You can do that for like $1,200, right? So if you're making $134 as an entry-level analyst, you can afford $1,200 a month, right? That's not unreasonable. And remember, there's no state taxes in Texas, so your take home's a little higher. But I think you can do $1,200 alone on $134. Okay? You know, if not, let me know what rationale you're using. But I think $134, your take home's reasonable enough where $1,200 a month is something you could carry on your own. Right? Michael says, I'm resting today. Tomorrow I'll be attending Tech Cabal, which is a big tech conference event here in Nigeria. Oh, very cool. Very cool. Are you going to be doing a class on abstract classes in Python? Don't think we've forgotten about you, Michael. You've been in our thoughts and prayers this whole time. But good for you. I'm glad you're going to a conference. See, you know, Michael, I like that you stay involved, right? You got to stay involved in the professional events, right? So good for you, Michael. Michael says, for someone coming from a developing country, I think most of the salaries are great. Yeah, they are, Michael, but you got expenses, right? The expenses aren't so great, right? Like, let me ask you this, Michael. Leo was just asking me about a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom. You can get a 1-bedroom apartment in Dallas and live by yourself for about $1,200 a month. 1,200 USD. Okay? Now, Michael, you tell me, what can I get in Lagos, Nigeria for 1,200 USD every single month? You tell me what that looks like, and then come back to me and tell me how these salaries look like, right? You know, you kind of got to make those comparisons, right? Leo says, haha. You gotta make even comparisons, right? I'm just saying. All right. Well, hey guys, you asked about the software engineering side, right? What do you guys think? Any other feedback? I think there might have been one more category that would have been of interest to us. Quality assurance, network security. Let's just take a quick look at consulting. Oh, wow. So here's why I'm interested in consulting. Because if you're attending the Sunday sessions, like I know a lot of you are, I see a lot of people from Sunday, Michael, Leo, Lalman, right? I think Joseph was also there. So, really glad to see you guys coming on Sundays. If you think about the Sunday stuff is a little bit, it can be carried over into consulting, right? Because some of the stuff I'm teaching you guys is like stakeholder management and how to deal with people and all that, right? Like that's the consulting mindset. So I said wow because these seem really low. A senior consultant in the middle percentile at 129. That's terrible. That's terrible. I would never accept that offer. That's a terrible offer if somebody offers you that. What do you guys think about this? Because some of you might end up in consulting, right? You never know. A lot of people might end up in contractor roles where it's like consulting, but you're on your own. You're like a one man or one person consulting shop. That's very common. I used to do that. I've done that multiple times in my career. What do you guys think? Right? I mean, some of you will end up in consulting. Michael says, well, rent in Nigeria is pretty cheap. If you were in USD, monthly rent over there could cover our yearly rent. But that's what I'm saying, Michael, right? For $1,200, I could probably rent an entire hotel in Nigeria, right? Like 20 bedrooms. That's what I'm saying, right? To get an idea of the comparisons, you got to think about the expenses, right? Okay, Fatima. Do all companies, regardless of size, typically have such a wide range of data science job titles, or are these roles more common in larger organizations? I feel that in small to medium-sized companies, some roles might be combined to limited resources. Yeah, great question, Fatima. I'm going to assume that you're talking just about the data science side, right? Because some of the other stuff we've seen, like the software engineering roles, I think those are a little bit more like defined, and you're going to find that across the board. But for the data science side, as I've told you guys before, the roles are combined, right? Just because your role is data science doesn't mean you're not going to be doing visualization. Doesn't mean you're not going to be doing data pipelines. Doesn't mean you're not going to be doing analytics, right? So I think that for data science right now, it's still very much blended in terms of your responsibilities. So when you say, do they typically have the wide range of data science job titles? Fatima, I don't think that's a function of a single company. I think it's a function of this study. I think that the study could have done a better job of combining those roles, right? Or combining like the titles that they present. So I would say, Fatima, don't get caught up in what you're seeing on the screen for the data science, because it's very much blended, and I think it's a fault of the study, not necessarily the companies. So I hope that makes sense. Let me know if you need clarification on that, Fatima. But again, Fatima, I'll point to the example I've told you guys before. My friend who I had dinner with, he's the head of innovation, very large company. I guarantee all of you would want to work for somebody like him. And his whole team is what was it? It was 10 to 20 people. Like, he's the head of innovation at a large company, and they do work across the entire company, data science work. And his whole team is 10 to 20 people. These teams are not big, guys. Not very big teams, right? So you're going to be doing a lot of roles. Majestic Coding says, I just left a management consulting firm as a technical lead, and this aligns with the senior consultant pay. Wow. Where was that, Majestic Coding? Because I've done, my fair share of consulting, and for a senior consultant role, I would never accept this. I've turned down offers at that level, and that was a couple years ago. So, Majestic Coding says Guidehouse. No, I'm sorry, Majestic Coding. I meant to ask the city is what I meant. Sorry. I never ask people to out their employers or out any private information. I meant the city. But I've turned down offers at this. Now here's why I say that, guys. And Majestic Coding, you can tell me what you think. But here's the thing. When you sign up for consulting, you're signing up for two things that I think are negative. One, you're potentially signing up for travel, right? Most consulting offers will come with travel included. Like, they'll tell you that they expect 80 to 90% travel. And it'll also include that travel may include Sundays and Saturdays and Sundays, or, after hours time during the week that they do not compensate you for. I guarantee you're not going to get any consultant employment offers that don't contain that clause. They'll tell you that it's not a lot of travel, right? Because they know, but if it's in the offer letter, they can hold you to it, right? So that's one negative. The second negative is that in many ways, consulting kind of stunts your personal growth, because everything you're doing in consulting is client driven. If your client's not ready for AI, guess what? You are not working in AI. If you really think that, technology X is pretty cool and you want to develop that, and hey, I think this is helpful, you're not working on it unless you can bill someone for it, right? So that's the part that I didn't enjoy. I didn't necessarily enjoy the extra hours for the travel. And I didn't enjoy that I couldn't work on technologies that I wanted to. And in a lot of cases, you kind of are only working on technologies that your individual consulting firm supports. So if you go to work for Microsoft as a consultant and your client needs a solution, you're not always recommending the best solution. You're recommending the Microsoft solution, right? So you got to be comfortable with that. Eventually, I wasn't comfortable with that. So think about that, guys, right? And then also, let me just kind of illustrate it for you guys, right? I'm trying to think of, I have multiple examples of this, but just think about this, right? So our friend on Twitch, Majestic Coding, is from Atlanta. Okay, cool. So he's aligned with these numbers for senior consultant. Okay. It's Sunday. You just got back from a client site late on Friday night because, you know, the flights and all that. You finally made it home at 12 p.m., like midnight on Friday, back home. You slept in on Saturday because you're tired, right? I mean, you worked on Friday. You had 7 hours of travel to finally made it home. So you're exhausted. You sleep in late on Saturday. So now it's Saturday afternoon. You barely have time to get a good meal in you. You get a good lunch in you because you've been eating crap all week because you've been eating out all week. You have time to do your laundry because you have no clean clothes. You have time to fill out your time card and your expense report. So now you got to log into your work system on a on a Saturday night. You wake up on Sunday morning. You get to have a nice little brunch, but you got to be at the airport by 10 a.m. because your flight leaves then. Because now you got to go to the middle of Iowa to go stay at a Hilton Garden Inn that's next to the client site in the middle of Iowa in a city a city no one's ever heard from. It's Sunday night. Your connecting flight is in godforsaken Minneapolis. All of your friends are texting you about what a great time they're having at dinner on a Sunday night. And you're in the middle of Minneapolis having dinner at the freaking Buffalo Wild Wings where there's no plates and it's all little plastic forks that you have to eat your dinner with. Because your connecting flight through Minneapolis is delayed by 2 hours. And now you're not going to make it to Iowa until like 11 o'clock at night, and the client wants you there Monday, 8 a.m. Guess what, guys? That's your week as a consultant. So you're sitting there in that stinky Buffalo Wild Wings in some terminal in the Minneapolis airport. And you're like, is $129 worth it? Like, really? Like, I got home late on a Friday and I barely had time to do my laundry. And now I'm in the middle of Minneapolis waiting to go to Iowa and I'm making $129 a year? As the kids say, miss me with that crap. I ain't doing that. So I'm just saying, guys. I'm just saying, that's the life of a consultant. So Majestic Coding says, I'd say that's director level travel. No way. No way. I've had employees that are my even not even my senior consultants, just my average consultants that are doing this level of travel. And even then at $200K, it's not worth it. Because look, director level, what does that mean? Well, that means you have a wife and kids now. Do you only want to see your kids for a day and a half every week? That's a great plan to have your kids hate you when they grow up. I don't want that, even at $200K. Right? But I guarantee you, I just described the life of a senior consultant, right? Like that travel and it's only $129. I've only been home for a day and a half. And now I got to go to the middle of Iowa and stay at a Hilton Garden Inn. No, thank you. So keep that in mind, guys. Consulting is not always easy. And that number may seem great. I ain't doing it. Never. I remember at the very end of the second time that I worked for IBM, the manager didn't want me to go. So he said, hey, let me get you in contact with one of the consulting people, and you can go back to the consulting side of IBM. And we talked, and I told him, will you agree to take out the travel requirements out of the offer letter? Because they were telling me that it wasn't a lot of travel, but I'm smarter than that, right? Make sure that it's not on the offer letter. If it's in the offer letter, they can hold you to it, right? So I asked them, hey, I'll take your offer if we remove the travel requirement, and they wouldn't do it. And consulting companies know that it's the travel that does in their employees. They know that that's why they have attrition rates. So keep that in mind, guys. Keep that in mind. So, yeah. But yeah, Majestic Coding, I'm not sure if I'm on board with that director level travel. I've had plenty of consultants and colleagues that do that level of travel. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I really appreciate everyone. Thank you so much to all the new users. Again, we ask people to introduce themselves, to keep the chat professional. But thank you so much for attending. Keep on coming back, if you were new today. But I have posted the link to this salary survey in the Discord. Please feel free to check it out there. If you have any other comments, let me know. But I appreciate all of you who have been attending. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And, lots of crazy stuff happening in our world. So please, be careful out there. Take care of yourselves and take care of your families. And I'll see you guys next time.